It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show.
Welcome to the Dep Lewis Show, episode 153. This is your host, Dep Lewis, and today is November 2nd, 2025, a great day for a podcast about video games and more. So I hope you're doing great out there in the world, wherever and whenever you're listening to this. Thank you so much for being here. The first order of business is to ask you to follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast, so find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly, places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. YouTube is also a great place to watch me play some games live or check out the videos later. I did 3 streams last week, playing a game I'll talk about in the first section, so please follow me on YouTube. You can watch those live or later, and hopefully those will be enjoyable and show off some gameplay. And, along with all the talking that I like to do on Sunday to you out here on the Dep Lewis Show. If you'd like to support the show even further than just listening, patreon.com/Dep Lewis Show is available if you'd like to subscribe monthly. That's the best place to guarantee the podcast will be ad-free. And then Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available any day, anytime, for any amount if you would like to support the show. And today's show that I keep talking about is going to have 3 sections, as always. The first section, I'll tell you about what video games I've been playing since I've last talked to you on this microphone. And definitely want to talk about the game I was streaming. And I have a couple other games I've been playing and just my kind of overall thoughts on gaming and the games of the year and things like that. So all my personal video gaming in the first section. The mid section, which is not mid in quality, it's the middle of the show, is where I tell you everything going on around the video game world that you need to know. So I would say that's the most important section each week. And the third and final section is a break from all the video game talk, the miscellaneous talk section, where I can talk about anything I want to outside the video game world. And in this section, I like to get into the worldwide world of sports and tell you what is going on with all my favorite teams. And my favorite NFL team is playing in about 4 hours from now against the Green Bay Packers. So we're going to talk about some of that. Going to talk about last week's game and then talk about my favorite sport, Major League Baseball, wrapped up last night. And it was a very, very sorry result. I definitely want to talk about that some in the final section of the show. But we have a lot of video games to get through because this is a video game podcast. So let's get into the games. So what have I been playing over here in the past week? And the first thing I want to tell you about was something that was happening last weekend, something that I participated in, and that was the Splatoon Splatfest in Splatoon 3. So the question for this Splatfest was, you had to pick a team. Who would you befriend? Would you be a zombie, a ghost, or a skeleton? And I said I would befriend a ghost. And that was the team I fought for all weekend. I put my ink, my sweat and tears into it. I tried to fight as hard as I could for Team Ghost. And, friend of the show, Stu Wu, I mentioned him before, that he usually likes to pick a team that I don't like and roots for them really hard, and they usually win. And that was the case in this one. Team Zombie was the winner of the Splatoon Splatfest. So it's a sad day to report. Team Zombie came out on top. I believe Team Ghost was second, so at least we got the second place. But according to Ricky Bobby, we're last. And then Team Skeleton, who I think might have had the coolest symbol, like the coolest looking logo or whatever in that game after seeing them. But either way, Splatoon 3, wonderful video game. It was the winner of the Game of the Year for Dep Lewis Show. And hold on one second. Excuse me. And still a game that I enjoy playing today. So I think it really holds up. I have a lot of fun with Splatoon 3. It looks a little bit better on the Switch 2. Still perfectly fine to play on the Switch 1. And Humpback Pump Track is a really great map in that game. But I'm a loser once again in the Splatoon Splatfest. But I have fun trying to play in the Splatfest every time I can. I guess it'll probably be a couple months before the next one. They seem to be getting farther and farther away from each other. But they're still supporting them from time to time. And I think they're going to support this game for a good long time, or at least until the next one comes out. So I think we'll still keep getting Splatfest, but they'll just be fewer and far between. But I've been having fun with Splatoon 3, and I guess, congratulations to Team Zombie out there for your Splatfest Splatoon win. All right, so what else have I been playing? So I talked about streaming on YouTube last week. I did 3 nights of streams, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So please go check those out if you want to watch the videos later on. And I was playing a lot of Ghost of Yotei. So that's been the game I've been playing on stream since I've been trying to go, dabble into that last few weeks. And it's been really helping me make some progress in this game and have a lot of fun with it. So I don't I think I did make some story progress in this game in the past week. Some good story stuff with Jubei, which I don't know how much I don't know how much I really want to spoil. Not too much. Definitely don't worry too much. But Jubei, I guess I don't know. But you have some good story stuff with Jubei, is all I'll say. And that relationship is growing and changing, and that's been a fun thing and a good through line through the story. And it gives Atsu a kind of a partner out there in the world when there aren't really many. But she's making some more partners. You're going around, you're kind of freeing settlements from being occupied, and then the city will kind of turn back into like a normal operating city, and that's fun. You can go to merchants, upgrade your armor, you can do some gambling. I still think the gambling mechanic in this game is extremely fun. It's like the Gwent to this game, so you go around to the town, and there'll be people gambling, and it's a fun kind of, it's not curling, but it's some form of that where you're knocking one thing into another thing, and you don't want to knock it off the table. And it's a fun mechanic with the DualSense because it has so much sensitivity in the trigger, and it just is a really, really well done mini game in that game, and it's fun to do every time I do it. And I've got just like real life gambling, you can get God in there, and it was 1,000 coins that I anteed up, and I swiftly lost him to this guy. He was like a pro, so it's pretty tough out there. I think early on you just kind of have some nice matchups, but I think they get kind of cutthroat depending on where you go. So pretty fun. I'm trying to think what else I want to say about Ghost of Yotei. I'm really enjoying this game. Is the main thing I want to say. I keep saying it's really doing a perfect mix of open world stuff, story stuff, random stuff, side missions, and I guess just allowing for your own fun around the open world as well. So I think it's doing the open world thing beautifully, and I think it's doing the story beautifully too. I think the story isn't too complicated. It's a revenge story at its core, but I think I keep saying this too, it has just enough story in there. I feel like I've compared this game a lot to Red Dead Redemption in certain ways, just I guess graphically, maybe story-wise, and riding on a horse in the open world and the campfires and a little bit of the story missions. I think Red Dead has more story to it. This one's definitely more action-oriented, but I still think it's a pretty good comparison. And Red Dead 2 is one of my favorite games ever, for sure. So I've been having a lot of fun with this. I really like Atsu. I think she's one of the cooler characters in video games in a while, I guess, that I've been introduced to. I think Astrobot's another standout who's like a recent video game character I really like. But I think Atsu's a cool character. I enjoy how like badass she is. I enjoy that she has some humor. I enjoy all the moves that she has in her arsenal. I like the mystique of her being the ghost of the Onryo. I like her attitude, her disposition. I think all her costumes and armor and hats and masks are fun to change, and you keep getting more and more of them. I'm just having a really, really great time with this game. It's been running up the ranks of my game of the year. I think I've been kind of saying that for the last couple of weeks. I think I have a battle going with the best games of the year. I still think this one is. I don't think it's any knock on this game. I just think the other game I like just a lot too. So I think it's more of a battle going on, and I'm lucky that I have, I guess, 2 months before I have to decide the game of the year for 2025 for the Dep Lewis Show. But Ghost of Yotei is a really, really strong contender. I'm going to plan on streaming some more of this game because that's been a really fun way to do it. Playing the Watanabe mode is extremely relaxing. That's where you get lo-fi music mixed in with the main game. And this is a game that I'm enjoying everything about it. I really enjoy getting into the fights in this game. I think some of the boss fights or like the tougher enemy fights can be difficult. And sometimes when I go into those, I do have to like hold my breath or be like, oh shit, here we go. But I end up getting through them. A lot of times it just takes a little bit longer than a normal fight. Maybe it's a little more boring because you're having to be more patient or block or things like that. But those are probably all good lessons for me to be learning out here in the action adventure streets. And I really can't think of too much bad to say about this game. It looks graphically wonderful. The art style is great. The music in it's cool, especially the Watanabe. And it really is a strong, strong contender for game of the year for me. I've already put in over 20 hours on this game. And that definitely, well, the other game I do have more hours, but it doesn't always go by hours, but it is sometimes a good indicator of how much you're liking something in a numerical way. So it's a good thing to look at. But Ghost of Yotei, I'm trying to think what else I want to say about it. I've just kind of said all the good things, and I continue to say that. And please go check out my streams if you want to see some of the footage and hear me talk over and talk about what I'm doing and just talk about some random things on there too. Hopefully you can get some enjoyment out of that. But Ghost of Yotei, extremely fun, and I'll be playing more of that for sure. All right, So what else have I been playing? Another game that I was just kind of alluding to is Mario Kart World. So that's been the game since June when the Nintendo Switch 2 came out that I've been loving that game. It's been my game of the year since then. It's been a strong contender. And I got Ghost of Yotei in the last couple of weeks, so Ghost of Yotei has kind of been at the forefront, but I've also been like, hey, I need to play some more Mario Kart World because I do love that game, and I've been playing some more of it. I haven't had any success in this game because the online racing is extremely hard, but that is my favorite mode in this game, is just going online, racing with 24 people, having the madness of all the items, and picking all the different cool characters in the game that you can pick. And I was mainly doing Vampire Waluigi in the last week because Halloween, just being thematic for Halloween and just having being a festive Mario Kart racer. But Waluigi has been one of my favorite characters in Mario Kart recently. And I'm having fun with Mario Kart World, so I'm still not discounting this game for Game of the Year. I love the online racing in it. It's something that I'm going to be doing for a long time, would be my guess. I think it's going to be in the same category for me as Splatoon 3, where I'm still playing that multiplayer years after, and I go through ebbs and flows with it, and maybe there's going to be some events in Mario Kart World that'll get me to, they had like something like a Splatfest. That would be so much fun because that's like a guaranteed time that I go back and play Splatoon 3. And I think I don't know. I hope Mario Kart World does add some more content in the future, and I'm sure they will. But I've been having fun with this game, and I was even thinking it's cool. Even if this is the game, I'm pretty happy with it, or I'm extremely happy with it. I have the online racing. I'm sure they will add more courses to it, but I don't know. I guess I was trying to think while I was playing it why this is. The other game I've been playing still is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And I've been doing the 150cc Grand Prix races, trying to complete those. I've been getting a lot of silver finishes, but that's been okay because I've been having fun. And I guess I'll eventually be getting better to be able to complete all these 150cc races. And then there's even a damn 200cc whole thing of Grand Prix. So there's just a ton of content in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but that has been built out over 2 generations of consoles. And I think if you compare them side by side right now, I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the better option. And then if the install base of the Switch 1 versus the install base of the Switch 2 right now, there's plenty more people that own the Switch 1. So I think if you had to recommend one straight up, especially if someone doesn't have if they hadn't played Mario Kart and they don't have a Switch 2, but they have a Switch 1, you could tell them to buy Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and they would be extremely happy. And then tell them to get all the DLC because that really fully fleshes out the game. And I think it definitely doubles the amount of Grand Prix in there. So if you're someone who likes to race the Grand Prix and try to complete those, it doubles those, and I think has some of the better maps in the entire game on that side of things. I believe it's like $25 to get all the DLC for this game. Maybe don't quote me on that, but I think it's totally worth it if you like the game. So all I was really kind of getting at there was kind of the differences between the two. Mario Kart World has a single player, which I don't think that can be discounted in any way because it's extremely fun. There's a lot of things to be had there, a lot of things to be found and collect basically, and just an open world to drive around and collect costumes, and I'm sure they're going to add more to that. So that's just even if it's not the most, I think I like the online racing the best, but I definitely like having the story mode. It's always something there you can play. The open world, you can always hop into it. All you have to do is press the start button from the menu and you hop right into it driving. So I think it's an excellent addition. I think it's cool that they stuck with the Mario roster and they haven't added other franchises in there yet. Maybe they will at some point because I guess this was an attempt to make something a little bit different than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which has been one, or has to maybe be one of the best Mario Kart games ever. I think it's going to kind of be the same problem that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate runs into with their next sequel. I think it might be something similar to what they're doing with Mario Kart World. Maybe it won't have as much content ever as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but maybe it will be, I'm sure it'll have extra content added to it and have some type of unique take on the franchise or some type of reset or, some type of change or whatever. Some type of little bit of a different take, and I think that's good and okay, especially because these games, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is still available to be played. You could still be playing this on a Wii U, I'm sure, and having fun. And you can be playing it on a Switch 1 for 10 more years and probably be having fun with that game, or even longer. It's just a really great, excellent, fun video game, and this year has really reminded me how much I like Mario Kart, and I want to continue playing and try to get some online wins. I would love to get a win in Mario Kart World. I've never gotten a win online. I've gotten second place, I think, maybe once. I know I've gotten it once, maybe twice, and I'm really fighting for a win. I never really played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe too much online, and I've thought about doing some of that, but I'm just happy to have both of those games able to be played on my Switch 2, and it's just really, really fun. So I've been having a lot of fun with the Mario Karts. I think Mario Kart World is definitely up there for contender for Game of the Year for me. And Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is definitely a contender for my favorite game from a prior year. So going to be a lot of Mario Kart talk on this podcast. All right, what else have I been playing? The last game I've been playing is a GameCube game that I've actually been playing on my GameCube, and that's Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. I picked this up maybe a month ago, and this has been probably my most played GameCube game since I picked up the GameCube like a year ago or whatever. I think it's actually been a little bit longer since I've been on this buying old console and old game kick, which I guess I've kind of subsided on a little bit, but it's nice having the options. So I've mainly been playing a lot of Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, and I've been having so much fun with this. It's just fun to hop in there and play a tournament, play different characters. There's 3 different courses I have unlocked right now. I'm still kind of scared of playing the 3rd course because it's hard. And I was originally worried there was only 2 courses, and then they add a 3rd course in, and it kicks my ass. And then now I'm a little bit scared to go play it, but it's nice to have it in there. And this game does a great job of keeping all your statistics and things to look at, so I think that's pretty fun. And then the basic gameplay of the golf is extremely fun. So I do recommend getting an OEM original GameCube controller over a third party. That's made a really big difference in me playing this older console, and I think is definitely worth trying to get one because it really makes a big difference. I love the GameCube controller. It's so comfortable. It's so much fun to play, and it's fun having an old console hooked up. I think there's something just about, pressing power with the game coming on. You're in the game. There's no online functionality. There's no updates you ever have to do. The game's just ready to go. You got your controller plugged in. It's just like a real simple thing. And I think having a golf game on there is really nice too. I've heard there's a YouTube channel, Gaming Off the Grid, that I watch sometimes, and they were talking recently about how one of the guys on there plays his MLB The Show from '08, and he still plays a franchise on there. And I was thinking, like, that's a cool idea for old hardware, because sometimes you want to go and play the retro games on there, but oftentimes there are better ways to play those retro games. Even like on an actual release on a modern console, a re-release, a remaster. A lot of people like to emulate games. So there's ways to play these games in a better form or fashion a lot of ways, and maybe it's even easier sometimes just to go to like Nintendo Switch Online, Nintendo Classics, and play those instead of going to find an old cart or whatever it may be. But there is something nice too for the simplicity of it, and I guess if you want to be able to collect or go look for video games in the wild, it's nice too. But just really talking about how it is nice to have that simple experience. And I think that's what I was getting at. I think like the games, like the sports games and things like that, could be a good one to kind of focus on more. Maybe that's kind of what I was thinking for me. It's like something I would play it. If I'm playing Super Mario Sunshine on there, I might be thinking, hey, I can make this look better on my Switch 2 or whatever it may be. But an old sports game, you kind of know what it is. If you're not playing them all the time, it could be fun just to have a file going in an old game. So that's just something I was thinking about on my older game journey, and something that I'm kind of understanding a little more with having this Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. There are newer Mario Golf games. There's other Mario Golf games, but this one's fun, and I could see myself playing it for a long time. So I've been having fun with that. That game's definitely going to be in contention for one of my favorite games from a prior year for the Dep Lewis Show Awards. And for the Dep Lewis Show Awards, those are going to take place on Sunday, December 28th, 2025. That's a regular Sunday podcast day, but it's always my favorite podcast to do of the year. This is going to be my 4th annual Dep Lewis Show Awards. So I'm going to be picking my game of the year. I'm going to be picking my best game from a prior year. And this year, I'm going to also start ranking my top 10 games of all time. I'm going to do this year over year and see where that changes. And this is another one I keep. If I'm bored or just sitting around, I'll be like, all right, I'm going to try to type this list out. And it's been really difficult. I have a lot of contenders for this list. I think this list is ever evolving, and it's going to be fun to put it in stone each year and see how it changes. I think that's going to be one of my favorite additions to the Dep Lewis Show Awards for this year. I'm going to have some more categories in there as well, and I really just hope you tune in. So the 4th annual Dep Lewis Show Awards will be taking place on Sunday, December 28th, 2025, the last Sunday of the year, and going to be, hopefully, mine and your favorite podcast of the year of the Dep Lewis Show. So next year, this has been the year of no direction on the Dep Lewis Show, so I haven't had a theme or anything. I'm really up in the air about what next year is going to be. If you're a regular listener, you probably heard at least 4 or 5 different ideas I've had so far, and I can't say one's leading at this point, so I'm just going to put it up there that I'm trying to think, and I'm going to think of a theme. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but at the end of the year here, I'm trying to think about all my categories. I'm trying to think about next year, and what my theme's going to be. And it's fun. That's some of the fun stuff about doing a podcast, and that's definitely one of the most fun things, just like the planning and preparing and I guess the creating what you're going to say and think about. So having fun with that, and I'll definitely be keeping you up to date. But the most important thing of this little section, or this little spiel, is Dep Lewis Show Awards 2025, the 4th annual, taking place on the final Sunday of the year, December 28th, 2025. So that's everything I have for you for this first section of the show. That's everything I've been playing. I've been playing Splatoon 3, Ghost of Yotei, Mario Kart World, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and some Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. And what else do I want to say about video games in my personal gaming? I think that's really about it. I'm probably going to be playing a lot of these same games in the upcoming week. Please check me out on YouTube for some streams. I don't know. I keep going back and forth on the schedule. I don't know. I'm just going to plan on being there more than I have been, and maybe at least once a week or something like that. Probably more than that, but I think at least once a week is something I would commit to. But either way, you can watch them live or watch them later, and please just check me out on there if you would like to. All right, that's everything I have for you for my video gaming in this first section of the show. So that's going to wrap this up. Then we wrap up this first section, and we're going to come back for the midsection where I tell you about everything going on around the video game world that you need to know. And this has been a crazy year of video game releases. There's been tons of new releases, tons of news, so this should be a pretty good midsection as always. So listen to this lovely break music by friend of the show and friend of real life Ballness, and come back right after this. Welcome back to the midsection of Dep Lewis Show, episode 153. This is where I tell you about everything you need to know going on around the video game world. And the first thing I want to tell you about is this is definitely one of my favorite games of all time, and it's getting a Switch 2 version, and that's Animal Crossing New Horizons. So the Switch 2 version has been announced. It's going to sail ashore on January 15th. So there's going to be a Switch 2 version, which you can pay $69.99 for the Switch 2 version with all the Switch 2 accoutrements. Or if you own the game already, you can pay $4.99 to upgrade the game. So that's one part of this, but there's also going to be a free content update available on that same day as well. So there's two pieces to this. There's going to be the Switch 2 new content, and there's also going to be a free content update on January 15th, 2026 for Animal Crossing New Horizons, an outstanding, wonderful video game. It was originally released in March 2020. This has to be one of my most played video games of all time. I have thought about going back to this. I don't currently have my island save anymore, but I have thought about it. I just don't know. I don't know. I love this game a whole lot, and I just don't know if it would be fun to restart, but it's something I've definitely thought about from time to time, and I think a lot of people I guess some people are going to be playing this for the first time on Switch 2, and they are adding more content into it, so they're trying to get people back like myself. So for this new update, they say, ahoy, new things are en route to your island getaway, whether you're planning to arrive on these shores for the first time or already a seasoned island resident. So there you go, both groups are trying to reel in over here. They are touting things like enhanced features like higher resolution visuals, mouse controls, and in-game megaphone that uses a system built-in microphone, online play for up to 12 players, and camera play. So having 12 players and online is new, and then the built-in microphone was pretty funny. You can be walking around your island and be like, hey Fang, where are you? And Fang will say, I'm over here, and it puts you a little indicator on your map or on the HUD where you can go find the your friends around the world, or your villagers around the world. So I think it's just kind of a funny little idea, but something that was cool to see in the update. And then also, so that's some of the stuff with the Switch 2 update in the Switch 2 version, or the $5 upgrade path. But there's also a free update on January 15th. This update features a new resort hotel run by Captain's family, new themed items and characters, extra exclusives like Slumber Island for Nintendo Switch Online members, and more. The content of this update can be played in both versions of the game on January 15th. So a return to Animal Crossing New Horizons on the Switch 2. It's a little bit just, like what they're doing, porting a lot of Switch 1 games on the Switch 2 with maybe a little bit of additional content. I'm sure the additional content is not completely necessary, but I guess nice if you were jumping into the game for the first time, or paying $5 isn't the worst thing if it's some good content being added to the game. And I would like a new Animal Crossing game. I don't know if this means it's going to be a little bit longer. I guess there's not too much work having to be done to this. They did quit adding new content to the game really at some point, so they could be. I'm sure they're working on the next one. But I guess my question is whether or not do I jump back into this game. And that's something that you need to keep up with here on the Dep Lewis Show because you never know. All right, what other news was announced this week? Super Mario 3D All-Stars, that is the release of Mario 64 Sunshine and Galaxy on the Nintendo Switch that came out in September 2020. It was a limited time release, so this is unavailable for purchase now. But if you do own this, version 1.1.4 has been released. Several issues have been addressed to improve gameplay on Nintendo Switch 2. The update is required to play on Nintendo Switch 2. So a lot of games, I would say, if they haven't had any work done to them, might not necessarily run just better on the Switch 2 outright. So it's nice when these games are getting Switch 2 updates because it does make them look better. And if it's not adding content, it's making the visuals look like they should or like you would expect. It's been something that's been a little bit unusual, or it's been a learning experience for me with some of these resolutions and going from one generation to the next. And it's not just automatically going to play the same on the next generation. And I guess I've been learning this too with some of these retro consoles or older consoles of plugging them into a flat screen. You're not going to get a match of visuals there, and it's going to cause some differences. And that's kind of the same thing here with going from Switch 1 to Switch 2 in some cases. It's not automatically, I guess, like the Xbox Series X does a really, really great job of that, of taking your digital library and just boosting them as much as they can be with the power of the internal processing or whatever. It does a really good job of that automatically. But the Switch 2 doesn't have anything like that, and it's really a case-by-case basis right now, and it's a little bit tough to know how it's going to be without actually seeing it yourself or hearing someone talk about it. So it's definitely something to take into consideration playing your Switch 1 games on Switch 2. They're not going to look terrible, but it might actually look better on Switch 1. So that is something to note there, and something I've definitely noticed. All right, another announcement from Nintendo this week. They're announcing a special edition of their Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller, and this is the Resident Evil Requiem edition. This has been announced. It's up for pre-order right now. This thing is $99.99 US dollars, so $100. These standard Pro controllers are $90 at this point. I think they started off at $80. I think they got risen to $90, and now these, I guess the limited edition Pro controllers are going to be $10 more at the $100 mark. But the Resident Evil Requiem Switch 2 Pro controller will release alongside the game on February 27, 2026. This is the first Switch 2 game to get a Pro controller. It has the same black color scheme as the current Switch 2 Pro controller, but the front looks like newspaper clippings from Raccoon City. I think it's an okay look to it. My initial, and I think the internet's initial take on this was this is kind of a lazy looking controller. It's nothing really too special about it. It is different from the basic Pro 2 controller, but I think they could have made this a little more exciting looking. But hey, it is something different, and I think with the lack of color and options that we have with the Switch 2 right now, all we have are the base Joy-Cons. All we have is a standard Pro controller. So I think everyone is kind of hard up for something a little bit different to personalize their Switch in some way. And this is like the bare minimum here, I would say, unless you're just a Resident Evil fan, because it does look cool. It looks cool. The newspaper clipping is cool. I think if you're a huge Resident Evil fan and you didn't have a Pro controller, I think you should probably want to buy this, because the Switch 2 Pro controller in general is an excellent controller. And I'm not a huge Resident Evil fan, but it's crossed my mind, hey, maybe I should get another Pro controller at some point. I would love to have a unique one. So it's even crossed my mind about this one, but the price tag is very expensive to be trying to buy something on a whim. But I think it's at least a nice direction that we're finally getting something a little bit custom or different, or I guess, more creative than just the basic standard Switch 2 SKU that everyone has, or all the Switch 2 owners have. All right, so Resident Evil Requiem getting a Switch 2 Pro controller. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, one of my favorite video games of all time. Something I've been playing some of that in the last week too. Just kind of randomly walking around that world, just enjoying the Breath of the Wild. But the news here is there is a vinyl being released from Nintendo on the My Nintendo store. This is available for pre-purchase now and releasing on June 19th, 2026. Nintendo and Laced Records are linking up to bring the sweeping music of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild to vinyl records. And I gotta say, I watched an orchestra on YouTube do the music from Tears of the Kingdom last week, and it's it was just incredible to see that, not in person, but even seeing that on YouTube. And it just makes me realize how wonderful and beautiful and awesome the music from these games, these two Zelda games are, and how it's perfectly fitting to the game. And then hearing it outside the game made me realize, like, wow, this really is some really cool stuff, and it's intricate and just really, really wonderful to hear and wonderful to see the people playing it, because it was just really impressive. But the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild vinyl, this collaboration marks the first time a Nintendo soundtrack has been commercially released on vinyl outside Japan. I think vinyl's definitely I don't think vinyl's ever really gone away since it's been released, maybe for a little bit, but it's definitely had a big resurgence in modern times. So there are two versions of the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild vinyl being released. Their option one is the limited edition deluxe double vinyl. It has 34 specially mastered tracks. It's going to cost $49.99 US. And then the second option is the limited edition bundle 8 LP box set. This one is 130 specially mastered tracks and cost $194.99. So please go check those out on my Nintendo store, especially if you're a vinyl fan. I think this could be a really cool thing to add to your collection. And I think it looks cool. I think it's going to sound good. And I do think it's expensive, but they do have option one there is, I guess, more of a standard price. I think I really can't speak to how much vinyl records cost, but I would guess maybe $30 to $40 would be like something standard. So at least the $49.99 one could be something that is a little more attainable than spending $200. Seems a little bit more of a niche audience there. All right, so that was the update on the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild vinyl that's been announced. So pretty cool there, and I do love the music from those games, so definitely wanted to point that out. All right, a really cool game, something that was high up on a Game of the Year list for me. That's Vampire Survivors has a new free downloadable content, or free downloadable content being added. It's called the Antechamber downloadable content. This is a Balatro collab, another great video game. If you like, I need to create this list at some point, but just games in this category. I think I forgot to mention in the first section a new game I've been playing. A friend of the show, Volness, and I are both playing some Ball Pit. That's a new game, and it's extremely fun. I think it falls in this Vampire Survivors, Dead Cells, Spelunky, category of these. I guess they seem like mini games, not mini games, but more bite-sized games, but there's a whole lot of depth to them. I guess they oftentimes have minier prices, not like a full price. So I think Ball Pit was $14.99, but the games have a lot of depth to them. There are a lot of times you can pick up and play kind of anytime. They get content added to them. And that's the case here with Vampire Survivors. It's getting free content added to it from Balatro. So this is available now. The back of the box talk on the Antechamber DLC for Vampire Survivors, the Balatro collab, is they've demolished demons, battled bats, been to outer space, and failed to find any vampires. But now the survivors face their greatest challenge yet, a bunch of jokers. Will you fold under the pressure or go all in on being a Balatro boosted bullet hell? Join Jimbo, and a cast of wild cards with combo potential that'll probably break the game. Get in on the action for a full house of silly synergies, clownish combos, and bewildering boss blinds. The house is full, the deck is rigged, and luck is just another statistic. But fortune favors the bold, and if you can survive this clown car of poker puns, you can be the bullet hell even when the chips are down. So they did a great job on whoever came up with that little marketing blurb. It was pretty fun to read and hopefully fun to hear about. So go check out some Vampire Survivors, a very inexpensive game. I believe it's $4.99. It's available on all platforms. Has a lot of DLC that's been added to it. Some of it free, some of it that you can purchase, I believe. But other than that, it's an extremely fun video game. So is Balatro, and so is Ball Pit. I need to make a note to talk about some more Ball Pit next week, because I've just kind of got into that at the end of the week and kind of forgot to mention it. But I've been having fun with that, and I think Volness has too. So I need to report on the Ball Pit next week. So stay tuned for that. All right, what else took place in the past week I want to tell you about? Limited Run Games, who often sells pretty cool editions of games, sometimes things that are exclusive or bringing things back from the past. And they had their 10th anniversary last week, so congratulations to them. They had their LRG 3 2025. This was their 10-year anniversary special that took place on October 29th. This was on their Limited Run Games YouTube channel. If you want to go watch the VOD of that, it's around 43 minutes in length. And they say they sincerely appreciate all of their fans being part of every moment over the past 10 years. This is all for you, and we're looking forward to many more. So in this LRG 2025, they announced over 25 new titles that will receive physical releases, so please go check those out. And I think I have a few limited run games in my collection. Nothing too specific. I'm trying to think. I have Hollow Knight. I think I sometimes get limited run and Fangamer mixed up, but I think I do have a few. They're definitely cool to see. I think the limited run did the Persona 3 portable release that I would like to maybe get at some point a physical copy of. But in this showcase for their 10th anniversary, they announced over 25 new titles. One of those that I thought was worthy of pointing out was Little Samson. This is coming to PS5, Switch, and PC. This is an NES game where the loose cartridge right now will cost you $2,275 on average, and a complete version if you want Little Samson on NES is $4,804.76 according to price charting this morning. This is a 1999 or 1992 action platform game, and it'll be interesting to see what the physical release from Limited Run will do to the price of the old cartridge, because I think it'll definitely lower it in this instance. And I think this is a really cool thing because a lot of people complain about the price of retro games, and I think that's rightfully so. Spending $2,000 for an NES game seems like there is 0.01% of people that would like to actually do that or try to do it, and then have an action and some people will feel like they're missing out. Someone might spend that money and they really shouldn't be. But now there's going to be some option through Limited Run, which those games can go up in price a lot too. But if you're early on in the pre-order, like right now, if you wanted to go pre-order it, I believe you can. And I don't know how much it's going to be, but it's surely going to be less than $2,000. And I think just a really, really great option of having a past game, being able to be played in the modern fashion, not to break the entire bank. So I think that's a really great thing. And I definitely hope to see that more with retro games. I would love to see it with the Pokemon games, past Pokemon games, especially GBA and Game Boy, to get some of those in a more modern, price-friendly, consumer-friendly fashion would be really, really nice. And that is, I guess what they do some over there at Limited Run Games. So please go check them out and go watch that 10-year anniversary special. A lot of those games, today, might not be in my direct wheelhouse, but I think some of them are interesting, and I think are definitely worth going to watch and check out their website. And I just want to make you aware of that. So congratulations for the 10-year anniversary for Limited Run Games. All right, what else to tell you about? A couple more games just to tell you about here in the midsection of the show this week. Antonblast is a video game that was released in 2024 for Steam and Nintendo Switch. It'll run you $19.99 US dollars. It definitely looks cool. It's developed by Summit Sphere, published by Summit Sphere and Joystick Ventures. And the news here is that Antonblast is coming to PlayStation in 2026. No official date, and I don't think any mention of Xbox here, but a lot of indie games do like to go from, you'll see them oftentimes get released on Steam or Steam and Switch, and then you will eventually see them come to PlayStation or Xbox if we're lucky. So that's the case here. Antonblast is a fast-paced, explosive action platformer that's all about destination. Play as the enraged Dynamite Anton or his cranked-out co-worker Annie, and use your mighty effing hammer to demolish bizarre worlds, tussle with screen-filling bosses, and steal your spirits back from Satan. So if you see some gameplay or even like the cover art for this game, I think it'll be enticing to you. That's why it was kind of memorable to me. I never really, I knew about this game coming out, thought it looked cool. Haven't really thought about it much since, but every time I've seen this game, I thought it looks cool, even if I don't know too much about it. And I thought it's, maybe it coming to PlayStation will put it on more people's radar as well. So Antonblast is coming to PlayStation in 2026. All right, a game was announced last week, and I think this is semi-interesting. I don't know if they're going to execute on this, but I think it's a smart play. Well, I don't know if it's a smart play, but it's playing a little bit on my nostalgia, I guess. And NBA The Run has been announced, and this has been announced and releasing in 2026 for PlayStation 5, Xbox, and Steam. Developed and published by Play by Play Studios. In this game, you're going to take your favorite NBA stars to iconic street ball courts around the world in this fast-paced online 3v3 basketball game. Stack wins, earn cred, and become the GOAT of the run. So back in my day as a video gamer, they had games like NFL Street and NBA Jam and NBA Street were incredible video games. They had multiple iterations to them, and I think we're really popular and sold well back in the day. So it's been, we've had a long, just the basic sports games have had a stranglehold on the sports market for a really long time. Where we've been just getting, Madden each year. We've just been getting NBA 2K, just getting MLB The Show. I guess baseball maybe gets a few other, like Super Mega Baseball and things like that in there, but not a ton of other, like, I guess like smaller takes on sports, or more I guess fun, or like less simulation style take on sports. And this is an example of one. It doesn't look completely as stylish like as the old NBA Street games, and I think that's the thing that kind of turns me off originally. It kind of looks a little bit more just like the street runs in NBA 2K, but it is touting street ball in this game, so I think that's a clear difference from the way like NBA 2K would run. So I think this is worthy of just being monitored. I don't know if they're going to execute on it, but I think it's an interesting thing, and maybe we'll get something like this released for the NFL. I think NFL Street would be my favorite one of these from back in the day, and it might have been Street 2. There, I have a memory from being young, and it was like a big snowstorm, and like basically we played NFL Street all day, and I don't know, and I think we were playing it a ton just in that time frame as well. But it was like a snow day, just an epic snow day, and we were playing NFL Street all day, and just have like real fond memories of that game just in general. And I don't know how much people these days would want to play these style of games, but they are fun. It's a smaller take on, or it's a more free or creative take on, instead of like the simulation style of games that we have these days. And I think it could do well now. I'm even thinking through it right now. I don't know why people would not like this. I think it would, especially if it's not going to be a full like $70 release, which I don't know, maybe it could be, but just worthy of following along with this. NBA The Run has been announced and releasing in 2026. All right, the last thing I want to tell you about in the midsection this week is about Mina the Hollower. This was a game that was slated to come out on Halloween. It looks really, really good. There's a demo available now. I have completed the demo. This is the follow-up from the developers Yacht Club Games, so the developer of Shovel Knight. This is their follow-up to that. It's not related to Shovel Knight, but it's their new game, Mina the Hollower. And take control of Mina, a renowned hollower hurtled into a desperate mission to rescue a cursed island, whip foes, burrow through the ground, and explore a pixel-perfect world in Mina the Hollower, a brand new game from the developers who brought you Shovel Knight. So the news here was this was coming out on Halloween, and it got delayed. They haven't given us a firm date, but they say, hey, it's not going to be too long. We just want to polish up some things. And the funny part here is that if you look at this game in the store on Steam or on Nintendo Store, it shows a release date of 2030. So people noticed this and wrote them on Twitter, and their social media account or Twitter X, their social media account responded and said, hey, this is a placeholder date. It will be updated once we have a new date. So just kind of funny, and I guess a little bit worrisome to see, hey, 2030, you said it was going to be a small delay. What are we talking? Half a decade here, delay here. But they say, don't worry. I hope that's the case, and I think it's just funny. Maybe it was kind of used more as a marketing thing to get people to notice it so they could talk about it. But I just wanted to mention that game, Mina the Hollower. The demo is extremely fun. I think this will be on my short list of things to buy once it releases. I kind of have a flood of games to play right now, but this is something that'll be on my wish list until sometime where I purchase it, I'm sure. So Mina the Hollower, please go check for that demo available now. All right, that's everything I have for you in the midsection of the show this week. That's all the video game news and things that I thought were cool and wanted you to know about. So Animal Crossing New Horizons has a Switch 2 version. We talked about Super Mario 3D All-Stars. We talked about the Resident Evil Requiem Switch 2 Pro Controller. We talked about the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild vinyl, Vampire Survivors and Blatro collab. We talked about the Limited Run Games 10th Anniversary LRG 2025 special that took place. We talked about Antonblast, NBA The Run, and Mina the Hollower. So that's all the video game thoughts I have for you this week. That's going to wrap up the midsection of the show, but there's one final section left, the Miscellaneous Talk section, where I can talk about anything I want to outside the video game world. And I want to get into the worldwide world of sports and tell you what's going on with all my favorite teams. So you don't want to miss it. Even if you don't like sports, I think you can enjoy it. It's usually pretty short and sweet. And the Carolina Panthers are playing in about 3 hours from when I'm recording this. So I don't want to talk about the game last week, talk about the game upcoming in a few hours, and what's going on with my other favorite sports teams as well. So please listen to this music and come back for the final section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 153, after this. Welcome back to the final section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 153. This is where I can talk about anything I want to outside the video game world. And I want to get into the worldwide world of sports as I always do and tell you what's going on with my favorite teams. And the Carolina Panthers play in about 3 hours in real time against the Green Bay Packers today. at 1 p.m. up in Green Bay. And the thing I'd like to report there is Bryce Young is back starting because last week he did not start against the Buffalo Bills. The game took place in Charlotte, and the Panthers lost 9-40. So last week is a game to wipe from my memory, all your memories, and hopefully after talking about it right now, I will not remember this game again. But Andy Dalton started this game. He said after the game he had a broken thumb, and that would explain a lot because he played really, really poor. He just looked completely unready, unable to play out there. It was really kind of shocking because he usually comes in as a backup and plays pretty well. So this was like, what the hell is going on here with Andy Dalton? He played a really, really poor game. He was 16 of 24, 175 yards, 1 pick, and he took 7 sacks for 45 yards. So he was on the ground and being hurried constantly in this game. He lost 2 fumbles, but he also recovered Austin Corbett's fumble, so a lot of messy stuff going on there. The Panthers have regressed in the running game. Rico had 8 carries for 54 yards. Chuba had 12 carries for 34 yards. I think they're saying, hey, we're going to give Rico the lion's share of the carries this week. It's been kind of a weird back and forth there. I think they could have managed this a lot better, and they did not continue to ride the hot hand. And I think Chuba said everything right during this, so it's just seems like a mismanaging of the running back situation there, which I think they should really be focusing on. And it's not like it's a problem to have 2 good running backs. And there's even been Chuba trade talks, and I think they're going to be boneheads if they do that. I think as soon as they do that, watch Rico get an ankle injury or something. It's really ridiculous to be acting like they are Super Bowl contenders and don't need all these horses or dogs in the stable that we can take. It's like we're acting like we are the Cowboys from the 90s or something, or the greatest show on turf over here. Like we just got an embarrassment of riches, which, hey, maybe it is nice and an unusual situation for the Panthers to have 2 good running backs since like D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart. But, figure it out would be what I would say. And in this game last week versus the Bills, T-Mac had 7 catches for 99 yards and 10 targets. Still a huge fan of him. And then for defense, Christian Roseboom had 12 total tackles with 7 solos in there. So he's been playing pretty well for them this year. And then the Ryan Fitzgerald, we've been talking him up last couple of weeks. He had an off day. He was 1 for 2 on his field goals, and he was 0 for 1 on his extra points. So not helping, but that would not have helped the cause either way. So the Panthers were 4-4 after that game last week, 3-1 at home. This was their first home loss of the year. And the Bills, did what the Bills are supposed to do. So pretty sad. I thought it would be more of an effort. Thought we would be running the ball a lot more and not seeing Andy Dalton out there looking like he was running for his life the entire time. So the Panthers are playing Green Bay today at 1 p.m., so just a couple hours away from that. I think the spread on that game is 14.5. They're giving the Packers 14.5 points favorites. That seems like a lot to me. I think this game should be kind of close. I don't really expect the Panthers to win. I wouldn't go in confident saying that, but I think they could do something here, so we'll see. All right, so the Panthers are playing the Packers today at 1 p.m. Next week, the Panthers will be playing the Saints at home and Carolina at 1 p.m. My fantasy team is 8-0 to report, so that's nice to say. I'm playing again today. I got Lamar back. He played Thursday night, and he did pretty well. I'm having Travis Hunter went on the IR over the weekend, and he was pretty much one of my X factors for playing defense and getting points there. So that's been pretty nice. And I'm trying to think what else about football. That's really about it. So hopefully the Panthers will get a win today, and go Panthers. All right, so for the NBA's kicked off. I have 2 teams there. The Charlotte Hornets, I'm halfway fan of since I'm a North Carolina resident for the last couple of years. Since last Sunday, they played Washington. The Hornets won 139-113. Tuesday, they played at Miami. The Hornets lost 117-144. Thursday versus Orlando, the Hornets lost 107-123. Saturday versus Minnesota, the Hornets lost 105-122. So a pretty typical start and stat line for a week for the Hornets. Pretty sad to see. I don't think they're going to have a good year, is my take there. They play today, actually, versus Utah at 6 p.m., and then next week the Hornets will be playing New Orleans and Miami. So I hope to get to one of these games sometime soon. I'm definitely going to try to go when they play the Hawks on December 19th, I believe is the day. The Hawks are my favorite NBA team, and they, just like the Hornets, are kind of having a little bit of a resurgence. They're having a weird season again. It's not really started off too strong. So Monday at Chicago, the Hawks lost 123-128. Wednesday at Brooklyn, the Hawks won 117-112. Friday at the Pacers, the Hawks won 128-108. So those last 2 definitely have been without Trae Young. He has an injury. I don't know how long it's going to be. Seems like it's going to at least be a month or maybe a little bit longer. So that's definitely not good news, but it does seem like good news that they've been winning the last couple games. I think their roster, I think there's something wrong with their roster. I think there's something wrong with their lineups. And I don't know. I mean, getting some wins without Trey is probably not a good look for the team as a whole, like if it's staying as it is. But I'm really just not sure. I think some of the lineups have been kind of crazy. I still think they don't know what they're doing with the players that they have, and I think that's a huge problem with the Hawks right now. But they have won the last two. They play Cleveland today, so I need to remember that. The Hawks and Hornets are both playing today at 6 o'clock, so I need to check in with that after the football game. Next week, the Hawks are playing Orlando, Toronto, and the Lakers. And go Hawks, go Hornets. All right, the MLB season is officially over as of last night. I'm an Atlanta Braves fan, so my season's been over for a while. The 2026 season begins for the Braves Thursday, March 26, 2026 versus the Royals. But the World Series wrapped up last night, and what do you know? The damn Los Angeles Dodgers won 5-1 last night, winning the series. It took them 11 innings in Game 7, so that was at least nice to do for the baseball world. The Blue Jays definitely had their opportunities to win this game and to not do them. And you can't take your chances with the Dodgers. They're an extremely good team. They're extremely annoying to me. I'm not a fan. I only sort of give them some kind of credit because of Freddie Freeman. Freeman on their team, he's my only little bridge to liking the Dodgers in some form or fashion, but I don't enjoy watching them. I think they're good. I think Shohei's amazing, but I'm just not a fan of watching them play baseball. And I think I'm going to have to watch them for a lot of years, play a lot of baseball deep into the postseason. And they just went back to back, and they could definitely, do a three-peat next year. You never know. So I hope the Braves can come back stronger. And, boo Dodgers. I wish the Blue Jays would have pulled it out. And a sad state of affairs there to end the MLB season for me. So that's everything I have for you for this final section of the show this week. That's everything going on in the sports world. I hope the Panthers can get a win today. I hope the Hornets and Hawks can get on track, and I will be missing baseball until March 26, 2026. So that's everything I have for you for the Miscellaneous Talk section, and that's everything I have for you for the whole show this week. So thank you so much for listening. I'd like to reiterate some promotional talk from the beginning. Please follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast, so find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. YouTube is also a great place to watch me play some games live or check out the videos later. If you would like to support the show even further than just listening, patreon.com/Dep Lewis Show is available if you'd like to subscribe monthly. Also, Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available any day, anytime, for any amount if you would like to support the show. So thank you so much for listening as always. I truly appreciate it. What do I want to say? I just want to say thank you for listening. Thank you for watching any of my YouTube streams. I really appreciate that. If you watch them live or watch them later, been having fun doing that. I'll definitely plan on being back live on YouTube sometime in the upcoming week. And so please check me there. And one thing that you'll know is I'll be back here next week for the Dep Lewis Show as always. I think I actually have an extra long weekend next week, so that's going to be pretty nice. And hopefully I can play some more video games and have a lot to talk about, and hopefully have some sports wins. So I hope you have a wonderful week out there in the world, wherever and whenever you were listening to this. I hope if things are going poorly for you, I hope that changes. I hope if things are going good, I hope that continues. And I just wish you well. Hope you play some fun video games, and I hope you come back and listen to another episode of Dep Lewis Show next week, because that's where I'll be. And I will talk to you then. Goodbye.